As we ding the bell with a gusto on this wonderful Monday morning, thank you so very much for being here today. For those I don't know, my name is Cindy Peterson, and I'm pleased to be with you on this Monday. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in reciting the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I will now welcome Brian Mulder to the stage for our invocation.
Feel free to pray with me as your faith tradition allows. Whoops, I caught that.
That's totally fine.
Did you see that?
I'll hold that.
I wasn't sure what that was for. All right,
Okay.
let's try that again. Please pray with me as your faith tradition allows. Heavenly Father, we come before you today in humility and faith. We thank you for all you have given us and the many blessings in our lives, which includes this community and the park systems that we get to enjoy. We ask for your guidance and strength. Show us the way and fill us with courage and wisdom. Help us to remember your love and grace and to be faithful in your service to you. Give us the patience and understanding to face life's challenges with grace. We ask you all these things in your name. Amen.
Brian, thank you so much. I'd like to welcome all of our guests today. Because of our busy schedule and the number of Rotary items we have, we're not going to be able to do introductions individually, but if you are a guest today at Rotary, I invite you to please stand and be welcomed by our members. We're so glad to have you here today. I'd also like to welcome our junior Rotarians. We have Abigail Dewan from Roosevelt, Alex Panic from Washington, and speaking today will be Dawson McCauley from Jefferson and Aaron Kansing from O'Gorman. This little guy that Brian about knocked over is full of Rotarian names. As you've heard me say for many weeks now, for the last 6 weeks, and you've heard our membership chair, Joel Sylvester, say, and you've seen in the Monday emails, we have been in the midst of our Rotary membership Show the Love drive. And most certainly, as you can see by the energy in this room, there are new faces each and every week. Just in those 6 weeks alone, we gained 24 new Rotarians and reactivated another one for 25 more Rotarians just in the last 6 weeks. It's awesome. And knowing all of those people wouldn't be new Rotarians without current Rotarians saying, join me, be a part of Downtown Rotary. We wanted to thank want to thank all of you, but draw a name for a lucky Rotarian who will have lunch free for the rest of the Rotary year, which runs through June. And since no one is up here close by, do you guys care if I just, is that cool? All right. Should have just kept the one that was on the floor that fell out. Here we go. Kathy Thorson. Woohoo! Thank you, thank you. Staying on the theme of new Rotary inductions, get used to this, folks. We're probably going to have a couple each and every week. I'd like to invite one of the Rotarians who brought in new members during the Show the Love drive. We've got Lynn Keller-Forbes, and she is going to introduce not one, but two new Rotarians.
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing two of my staff members today that are up and coming rock stars in the community and will both be great additions to Downtown Rotary. First off is Eric Barnes. He's my new senior loan officer for Dakota Business Finance and the Southeastern Development Foundation. Prior to joining the DBF team, Eric was a commercial lender for a local bank over the last 5 years. Eric grew up in Alcester, South Dakota. He attended college at South Dakota State University, where he graduated with a degree in economics. Eric is both a Jackrabbit fan and a Vikings fan, but one team certainly gives him more heartburn than the other. In his spare time, Eric enjoys spending time with his wife, Vanessa, golfing, taking care of his dogs, and smoking and grilling anything that he can. Eric has been a great addition to the Dakota Business Finance team, and he will be a great addition to Downtown Rotary as well. Please join me in welcoming Eric.
Alrighty, thanks for that introduction, Lynn. You could have left that out about the Vikings, but thank you for welcoming me into your club here today. Like Lynn said, I am the senior loan officer at Dakota Business Finance, as we act as a conduit between banks and small businesses in the SBA 504 program. The other prong of my duties is acting as the senior loan officer for the Southeastern Development Foundation, where we also manage $24 million in a revolving loan fund. That's also helping small businesses. Other than that, I do enjoy golfing. I don't get out as much as I like, but when I do, I sure take a lot of swings. So thanks for having me here today, and I look forward to serving with you guys.
Eric also likes to show off in that he doesn't need any notes, apparently. The next introduction I have is for Sophie Johnson. She was hired as the Southeastern Council of Government's first community development manager in February of 2022. In her role, she supervises 5 employees that support local government planning efforts in all of CCOG's 6 counties. Before coming to CCOG, Sophie was a corporate administration assistant at Sanford Health, and prior to that, she worked at the South Dakota Department of Education, where she oversaw a major federal education grant. Sophie's a native of Sioux Falls. She's a 2-time Yote, earning her Bachelor of Political Science and Master of Public Administration degrees from the University of South Dakota. Most recently, Sophie completed her Doctorate of Public Administration degree from California Baptist University, graduating in December of 2022. Sophie has a genuine interest in supporting the community of Sioux Falls and will be a great addition to Downtown Rotary. Please join me in welcoming Sophie.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Rotary Club, for the induction into your group. Like Lynn said, I was born and raised in Sioux Falls, and I've pretty much lived here my whole life, except for a short stint I did in Pierre and my time down at USD. So I see myself here for the foreseeable future, and I'm really excited to become more involved in the community. One of my passions or hobbies is traveling, and so I saw that Rotary Club has some volunteer opportunities in which you get to travel. So I'm eager to check those out. Thank you.
Kaylee Etram, I'd like to welcome you up with our junior Rotarians.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have 2 exceptional students to hear from today, and the first one is Dawson McCauley from Jefferson High School. Dawson has been involved in volunteering from the National Honor Society, Renaissance Club, the Principals Advisory Council, Student Council, Link Crew, Best Buddies, Cavalier Reading Buddies, Salsa, Quiz Bowl, tennis, Frisbee Golf Club, and several others. A busy guy. I love it. He's involved in church and a variety of sports and other volunteering opportunities. He works at the TB&G, so if you're in that area, you might see him now that the weather's warming up, and is also filled in at the front desk for his dad's business. He is planning to pursue a nursing degree at the University of Sioux Falls with a future occupation as a nurse, and we're excited to hear from Dawson. Please welcome him.
All right. Hello, everyone. I want to start off by saying thank you for including me in the Rotary meetings this month. I've really been enjoyed being able to attend and really appreciate this opportunity for us students to be able to be a part of this club. I believe that we have a really great community, and I think that is so awesome that we have opportunities in this area to join clubs to continually serve and improve the community in the ways that we are able to, which brings me to what I would like to talk a little bit about with you all today. I've been provided the opportunity to be involved in some of my own involvements at Jefferson High School, where I've been able to be a part of helping the Jefferson and surrounding communities, and I've really enjoyed this incredible community that we have in the Sioux Falls area. One specific thing that I've been involved in during my high school career that I've really enjoyed and that has been really exciting for me to be a part of is some tutoring that I've done while at Jefferson. I've gotten to know many students through my tutoring experiences that I may not have known as well otherwise, and it has been so awesome and very rewarding to be able to gain friendships with a greater number of other students. I've been greatly encouraged by many students that I've been able to spend time with and hopefully positively invest into. It has been so encouraging to see many instances of students working hard and striving to excel. I've also been exposed to a wide variety of other attributes that many of these students have demonstrated that I hope they use to continue to invest into Sioux Falls in their futures. I'm really grateful for these opportunities that I've been provided with to be with these other students and hopefully help in shaping a positive and supportive atmosphere. It has been really awesome for me to also see the other students' success in their studies, and it is really exciting for me as I also hope that I've been able to be a part of contributing to their successes. One student that I know from tutoring, specifically from the Algebra 1 classroom I was in for my peer tutoring class last year, has told me that he wishes I was peer tutoring in his geometry class again this year. So I hope that I've helped make a difference for him and for the other students that I've tutored. Seeing the success of the students and hearing comments from students such as this have really been positive and uplifting for me as well. I've had really positive experiences in the Jefferson community with this, and I hope that I've also been able to give back to the school while receiving from these activities and the other students. In addition, I've had really good experiences with the teacher, community partners, and other community members I've interacted with through the extracurriculars I've been involved in. I've been really impressed by the vast amount of help and care I've received and experience from those investing into the next generation to also build a better community and atmosphere. I've constantly been pushed and challenged to be the best I can be by my peers and many other members of the Jefferson and Sioux Falls communities, and I'm so appreciative of the incredible people that make up our area and the investments they've made into me and many others. I've also been involved in activities where I've been able to be around the RISE students at Jefferson, which is a group that has members with other needs to be supported in the best way that they can be as well. I've really enjoyed my time with these students, and I've also had such great experiences with the vast contributions they make into our community. It has been so incredible getting to know them and to also meet the rest of the student body and to also see the rest of the student body rally behind them and spend their time with the students. The support and care that I've observed and experienced with my opportunities to be around these awesome students and the other awesome students of Jefferson have also contributed to our area and helped with increasing my confidence for the Sioux Falls area even more. I've had so many experiences throughout my high school career that have truly exposed the amazing Sioux Falls community for me. Being involved in the activities that have helped me acquire these experiences has also been a really big highlight of my high school career and has helped me continually become more and more passionate for the continued health of our community. As I come to a close, I hope that I've been able to provide even more positive feelings for you all about our community today through sharing some of the greatly beneficial experiences I have had. I have substantially enjoyed being a part of our community and its constant growth, and I'm really grateful for the continual efforts of Rotary to improve our area. This is such an incredible area, and I'm really grateful for everyone that is a part of it. Thank you all.
I hear from so many of you that after these students come up and speak, we feel even better about the future of our community and our state. And I think, Dawson, what you've shared with your experience as well have been really illustrative of what that looks like for our students moving forward too. So thank you for that. Next up, we have Aaron Cassing from O'Gorman High School. Aaron is involved in choir, show choir, band, marching band, bowling, theater, and National Honor Society. She plans to attend South Dakota State University to major in nursing and Spanish. Please help me welcome Aaron.
Hi, I'd like to start by saying thank you for this opportunity to come and attend these meetings. So as you heard, my name is Erin Cassing. I'm a senior at O'Gorman. I am involved in many activities, but my two main ones are band and choir, specifically marching band and show choir. These two activities have shaped who I am today. They've helped me create lifelong friendships that I have because of the familial nature of the groups. In these activities, I have learned the importance of teamwork and accountability. I've also learned about leadership and how to be a good leader. In the band, I was a drum major. For those of you who don't know what that is, a drum major is one of the student directors for the band. As a drum major, I've discovered that being a leader means listening to those around me and accepting constructive criticism. I've also learned that in order to receive respect from those around me, I must first respect others. Along with band and choir, I'm also involved with theater, so I'm going to take this moment to tell you to go to the spring musical from O'Gorman that is Footloose. In conclusion, everything I've learned in my activities will help me in the future, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking to more of you.
Thank you both so much. And Kayla, thank you for your continued connection with this work. You are bringing this young talent into the room, and I'm certainly inspired, and I'm sure many of us are as well. I am now going to invite our panelists and moderator to the stage. While they come up, I am going to give you a couple of Rotary reminders. The first, on your tables, you will find a More Than Mondays Rotary Social. We are doing these on the Thursdays when it's the 5th Thursday of the month. And that next 5th Thursday of the month is March 30th. We hope to see you there at our wine bar. Next, district raffle tickets. They are on sale at the back of the room. And Dan, it looked like you were pretty busy as people were coming in. First of all, a heartfelt thanks to Bobby, to Dan, and everyone who's helping with the district raffle, including all of you who have participated by purchasing tickets already. For those who missed last week's meeting, we shared the why behind the raffle, which simply put is an opportunity to impact those in need in a local way at a local level, as well as across the globe. Most recently, our District 5610 raffle funds have gone to assist the Bishop Dudley Hospitality House, increase suicide awareness and education, provide the Pine Ridge Reservation wheelchairs, and equip artists and craftsmen of the makerspace with vital tools, supplies, and training needed to produce art. A $10 raffle ticket is doing all of that in the name of your Rotary. They'll be selling tickets after the meeting as well. We have already sold 125 of our goal of 300. So again, thank you, and meet up with Bobby and or Dan after the meeting. Today's program, Sioux Falls Parks and Rec, Explore, Connect, Play. It's being moderated by our downtown Rotarian, Regan Smith, who will begin by introducing our panelists. Regan, thank you.
Thank you, President Cindy, and thank you, Club, for inviting us today. Don Kearney is the Director of Parks and Recs for the City of Sioux Falls. He's been in this position since 2005 and has served under the Munson, Huther, and Tenhagen administrations. Prior to coming to Sioux Falls, Don was with Parks and Recreation at the City of Billings, Montana, and prior to that with Scottsdale and South Sioux City, Nebraska. Don is a graduate of the University of Northern Iowa and has 2 grown children, Kelsey and Hunter, who also reside here in Sioux Falls. Dan Greider grew up skiing at Great Bear in the mid-70s, graduated from O'Gorman High School in Augustana with degrees in accounting and business administration. At the same time, he was involved with the family business, the sub shop, a sub business here back in the day. In 1992, Dan began running the food service at Great Bear, and the following year, he began managing the entire operation of Great Bear on behalf of Ski Sioux Falls. So you didn't really get anywhere, did you, Dan? You've been around. So I can tease him. We've been friends for quite a while. Dan's married to Jennifer Josko, and they have 5 children and 4 grandchildren between them. So thanks again for coming today. It's been a while since we've talked parks, so we thought it'd be a great time to do that. Sioux Falls, we're very proud of our park systems. We're very renowned of our excellent parks. 35 miles of paved recreation trail, the River Greenway, the Jewel, which is Falls Park, 81 parks total, 13 more undeveloped parks, 7 pools, 5 community centers, 3 golf courses. I don't know how many athletic fields and courts, 100 plus special events, the Levitt Shell, the zoo, a ski hill. I could go on and on and on, but it's never enough, is it, Don? We want more and more and more. Sioux Falls Parks and Recs is accredited, one of less than 1% of the agencies in the country have this designation. The community is very fortunate to have these facilities and opportunities. So Don, thanks so much for you, your full-time staff of 80 folks, 850 part-time employees that make that happen year in, year out. So let's get into it. Don, let's run through some of the current projects, where we're at, those type of things. We'll start right down the street here with the Jacobson Ice Ribbon and Plaza at Falls Park West.
Yeah, this is a project, for those of you who don't know, has been a public-private partnership between Gary and Diane Jacobson, where they're contributing significant dollars to match the city's dollars to be able to build out, the long-awaited downtown ice opportunity in Sioux Falls. This year's been a little bit of an exception where we're actually able to make ice in a typical winter, but most winters we're not actually able to do that very well. So it makes it hard to program. So being able to bring in an ice ribbon downtown to Sioux Falls to enjoy is really, really exciting. The other piece of that is that it will also have an inclusive playground. It would also have a future splash pad and also potentially a dog park, depending on how all the final funding works out. And so we've been really working with Gary and his family to try to build that project out as much as we possibly can to limit the number of phases that are involved in that project. So it minimizes the amount of disruption. But currently we're planning to bid that project this summer with the plan to start construction after Labor Day of this year. So we're excited to be able to get that going. And it's kind of been long awaited. It's been a kind of a crazy economy, as we all know, with cost escalation and shipping delays on specialty materials, concrete prices. And so we've been trying to manage through that as best we can. And so we're feeling really good about being able to get that bid this summer. And hopefully, not this coming winter, but the following winter, be able to enjoy the ice ribbon and then obviously the balance of those components of that project.
Great, that'll really change downtown. Let's stick in the neighborhood. The phase 3 of the River Greenway project to the Steel District. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, that's on a very much similar time frame where we'll bid it this summer and start construction in the fall. That is a project, for those of you not aware, is like we've done in front of Sharapa, where we've had riverfront greenway improvements. This will be the very similar type of development adjacent to the Steel District property. And typically when we've done greenway projects, we've tried to coordinate those with private redevelopment. So that really creates that seamless transition between the private property and the public property. And so we're excited about being able to advance that project. The other unique piece to that project is that the Lowhead Dam, which is over a century old, is also going to get replaced as part of that project. And the Lowhead Dam is important because it pools water up back through the downtown. And it really is an important piece of the recreational nature of the river through our downtown. And so with all the flooding we've had in the last 5 or 6 years, it's kind of taken its toll on the Lowhead Dam. And so we're planning to replace that entire structure and be able to have water back up through the downtown reach. And right now it's deteriorated enough where really our sewer line that's just upstream from the Lowhead Dam is really creating that dam for us, albeit at a lower water elevation. And so we're really excited about it. We've worked very closely with Lloyd Companies in the Steel District Development Project. And as you can see, when you drive by, it's going to be a phenomenal private investment in that area. And that's the nice thing about these River Greenway improvements. Every time we've done them, there's been multiple fold of private investment above and beyond the city's investment. But obviously they need the city to come along with them at the same time to be able to build it all out and make it work and function like their 2004 master plan originally envisioned. So yeah, we're making good progress there.
Great. Well, here's a not such a fun one. Back in spring of 2018, we had something called the Emerald Ash Borer came to town. And so the city was very proactive, developed a 10-year plan to remove those trees that are in the boulevard or the city parks. Where are we at with that?
We're right on track for the 10-year removal plan. At the time we originally inventoried the street trees in Sioux Falls, we had about 22,000 ash trees along our boulevards, where the city said, hey, we're going to step up. We're going to add crews and equipment and also use private contractors to remove 2,200 ash trees a year along our streets and boulevards. And the reason why we took that proactive approach is because ash trees, unlike some other species, become brittle and they'll actually fall over if they're not taken care of and removed. So some cities have gotten behind on that and really created a public health hazard and safety hazard where, actually people just push on them with a bobcat and they'll tip over. The heavy windstorm comes through. We just don't want to be in a situation where we've got trees falling all over the place, and we didn't want to be in that situation. And so we're on track, 2,200 a year. We're in our fourth year of that plan right now, and we're going to continue to track. The thing I'd mention about that is that, I think a lot of people have kind of got a little complacent as we talk to the arborists in town. People think it was just something that blew through town and no longer is here. What I can tell you is that it is here and we are seeing it. And especially on some private properties where we see some what's called blonding of our ash trees, is where essentially the tree starts dying from the top down. And so when they get completely dead, obviously then there's a period of time where you really need to get those trees removed. And so, as Regan mentioned, the city council and the mayor, Ten Haken, I think it was maybe the day he actually started work, we said, hey, we got some not so great news for you. And it's a major investment on the city's behalf. And so we're happy that we're making good progress there. But for those of you that are out there, if you have ash trees, just know that the EAB is here. It's not going away. And if you just really need to have a plan for what you're going to do with your private ash trees, because the city agreed to take care of the ones in front of your home if you had one. But if not, the private tree is your responsibility to remove them, and they're not inexpensive to remove, depending on their location, how big they are, that kind of thing. So make sure you have a plan if and when your trees do succumb to EAB to know how you're going to get those removed. The other thing I mentioned is two other things on EAB is with the record snowfall we've had, we've really had a tough time with our contractors being able to remove trees at the normal level. So if you drive by throughout neighborhoods, you'll see stumps sticking up where the snow used to be when they cut the tree down. Just know they're going to be coming back to remove the balance of those trees that they left because they couldn't get at it because of the snow. And then we'll come back and grind the stump out and then turn the balance of that work over to property owners. And then the other thing I would say is that even though we're removing 2,200 trees a year, which we absolutely hate doing, we have been planting 500 trees in our park system because we're also removing ash trees from our park system. And then we're also encouraging private property owners to replant along the streets. There's a $50 rebate program that you can sign up for each approved tree planting site. So encourage your friends, family, and neighbors to help us reforest with the right types of trees going forward, so we don't end up with a large percentage of our trees like we have with the ash, where when you have a crisis like EAB, it affects a whole lot more trees than maybe 5 or 10% of a species that we'd ideally like to have in to be able to diversify our urban forests. So,
yeah, great information. Dan, let's talk with you. You might be one of the few people that is happy at all with the amount of snow we've had this year. After we've had a couple of very dry years, so 23 has been a great year for Great Bear, and you're probably finally able to really break in that nice new shiny ski lift that we built out there. Any early projections or thoughts on how this season is still going for you guys?
Yes, this season is one in a lifetime for me. Kind of give you some perspective. Our busiest season in guest visits ever was in 2010 and 2011, and we had 49,500 visits that year. Through yesterday, we've had 66,000. That is over 83 days. We did the 49 over 95 days. So incredible. You know, with obviously with the visits comes the revenue. But this year has been, pardon the pun, a perfect storm.
Great, great. Maybe share a little bit about the history of Great Bear, kind of the partnership your group has had with the city. You know, how did the city of Sioux Falls end up with this ski hill? You know.
Well, actually, the land that Great Bear sits on, the park, has always been city land. Way back in the day, it was a city sand mine. In fact, when I was skiing there in the mid-'70s, they were still mining sand back there. The area was established in 1966 by a gentleman by the name of Ron Clifford. It had gone through several ownerships. Denny Fink was significant for many years. He put the first chairlift in. By the end of the 80s, Lowell Hansen and his group owned the area, and they decided they wanted to get out of the business and couldn't find a buyer. And so a group of people, Jeff Scherschlick, Doug Bowden, Jim Whitcomb, got together with Mayor White, I believe at the time, and said, hey, this has always been city land. Why doesn't the Parks Department operate this? We'll hang around for a couple of years and, you know, show you the ropes. And so that was in 91. I came in 92. And so we worked this little partnership. And after about 4 or 5 years, we figured out this actually works. There's 4 or 5 park guys that are established out there making snow and maintaining, and then we manage the operation. And so what we've done is we work on a series of 5-year contracts. Our company is Great Bear Management, Inc. Steve Sanford is our president. And we manage the operation, primarily the winter operation. The park itself is 220 acres. It's the largest park in town. There's 6 kilometers of hiking trails. There's an archery range, just a huge park. And Parks maintains that, all the trails, the trees. In the summer, we operate the events as far as weddings and receptions and class reunions. And then, of course, in the winter, we operate the ski valley. It's really a neat partnership. It's kind of one of the first that the city entered into back in the early 90s. You know, the golf courses kind of operate that way. At one point, Canary Stadium was kind of operated that way. But it's been a great partnership. I've enjoyed all the park directors I've worked for, all the different administrations. You know, it's been wonderful.
Great, great. Let's shift back to you, Don. Lots of study and discussion over the years about aquatics here in Sioux Falls. You know, there's talk now about a quality of life bond for pools, potentially a new clubhouse. You know, where are we at? Are we moving forward?
Yeah, we are moving forward with that. You know, a little history, the city first started looking at replacing pools back in 2000. And so here we are 23 years later talking about that. We've made a little progress with some of our oldest pools at the time. Think of Drake Springs when that pool got replaced, and you think about the conversion of Spellerberg to the Midco Aquatic Center that we have there now. Those have been very successful, very popular facilities, but we still have other facilities that are in that 50+ year age range. And that's quite a long time for an outdoor pool in this climate. And so we need to have a plan for replacement of those facilities. And specifically that refers to the McKinnon Park Wading Pool, the Frank Olson Pool, as well as the Keene Park Pool. And so as part of the recommendation of the mayor's office and our finance team, they said, hey, the best way to get these done is to do a quality of life bond, which would be paid back with existing sales tax revenues that the city collects on an annual basis. And we're always, as you know, with the city, you're always bringing on debt and rolling off debt, right? So as our quality of life bonds that we've done in the past are rolling off and being retired, you know, we're not able to fund large capital projects in any one capital year of the city's CIP program. And so that's why we use debt service to be able to finance those projects. So we're in the process of working with an RFP process where we will go and seek out recommendations and cost estimates and site plans for each of these 3 locations. In the case of McKinnon Park, we really have a pretty good footprint because we recently did a master plan in that area. And when we went out in the last quarter of 2022, we talked to all these neighborhoods. We had various different information gathering sessions for people to be able to provide feedback on what they'd like to see for replacement facilities, because you get one chance to do it right. And so through that process, we found that people are really gravitating towards indoor facilities. They also want more multi-purpose year-round options because there's some frustration with the short pool season that's really driven by school district and university and college schedules. And so I think we're going to see a lot of support for that, or we have seen a lot of support for that. And so in the coming months, we'll be working with consultants to actually figure it out what we're going to do at each of those 3 locations, and then ultimately put a proposal together in front of the city council for them to consider so that we have a plan long-term to replace those facilities. And I really see it being a phased project where we'll maybe start with McKinnon and get the wading pool replaced. The following year, we'll maybe go to Frank Olson, and then that following year, maybe start the project at Keene Park. So we don't have construction at all 3 of those sites all happening at the same time. So we're excited about this project. I honestly didn't know that this would ever actually materialize in my time here with the city. And thanks to the forward thinking of mayor and city council members, they're very excited about this project. And we're really excited about what it'll not only do for the community, but it'll do for the neighborhoods where these projects will happen.
Great stuff. It's a little early, but how are we doing on lifeguards for this summer?
Well, believe it or not, we had walk-in interviews this weekend, and staffing is going very well for our pools. Even this last year, a lot of pools across the country did not get open, at least not fully open. And thanks to the increases in the hourly rate that the mayor and city council approved in recent years, has really made a huge difference in our ability to retain returning lifeguards year after year, but also recruit new ones. And so I would say we're ahead of schedule from where we were at last year. And I would say for the first time in probably 2008 was the first time we're ever being able to actually get fully staffed across the department, including lifeguards. So we're on a good track for that.
Good stuff. I can't wait. We're going to see some changes coming to our community centers probably this summer. We're going to kind of share that expansion of that community learning center model with those centers in the Sioux Falls School District. Probably not a lot of folks have heard about that. Can I explain what that's all going to entail?
Yeah, the background on that really is every 5 years we're required by city ordinance to develop a comprehensive plan that ultimately gets approved by the mayor and city council. And it really looks at all aspects of our department operations. And when we do that, we typically hire a consultant to help formulate that plan for us. They work with cities all across the nation to develop their comprehensive plans. And one of the recommendations came back is that they said, you really ought to reevaluate your current community center model. It's an outdated model. It isn't really keeping up with the times of what other cities across the country are doing to be able to meet the recreational needs of your community. And so what that really did is it forced us to take a hard look at, are we really investing those dollars wisely in our community centers? But at the same time, we're all dealing with this childcare crisis that we're dealing not only with in our community, but across the state and the nation. Is there a better way for us to partner with the school district who are really working to stand up this community learning center model across all elementary schools in our community to provide more access? Because a lot of times, if you try to get into Kids Inc., it was kind of tough to get in there. The enrollment was limited. And so through this program, whereby we would propose to turn back the oversight of the after-school programs and activities over to the school district to allow them to be able to expand the numbers of kids that can be in that program. And for those you don't know, not really been in a community center before, we have 5 elementary schools across the city. And it really was just a drop-in program. It wasn't really just geared for children, although 80 or 90% of all the attendance we had at that after-school program was from the adjacent elementary school. But the general public could also come in during that time in what we call kind of an open gym type program. And it, you know, I think people were looking for more structure for their after-school program, but also, you know, the thing with the community learning center model, that what they've shown is that their test scores improve, you know, and they're providing much more of a supervised, structured program, whereas ours was just drop in. The kids could come and go. Mom and dad just had to rely on whether the kid was going to stay at the community center or not, or did he wander off to a friend's house. Our current operation is not custodial. And so our hope is that we can work with the city council and the school district to transition out of community center operations to the school district so they can expand the after school care. And, you know, at some point, even, you know, beyond just after school, maybe there's more opportunity there through the school district. And we think that's a better model for us to be able to exit and allow the people that do what they do best to be able to run those programs, because we're really not in the after school, or excuse me, the daycare kind of business, so to speak. While we do some things like that, it's really not a structured program. So we've been working with Rebecca Wimmer and Dr. Stavum on this, and we're really excited about what it'll do for the community and access to after school care.
Great. Dan, you kind of mentioned this, but you know, Great Bear isn't just skiing, tubing, snowboarding. There are some year-round opportunities out there, hiking trails, archery. It's a great meeting and wedding venue. How busy is it in the summertime?
You know, when COVID first hit, the amount of foot traffic that we had at Great Bear in the summer just skyrocketed. And the use of the park has just continued that way. We get a lot of, you know, daycare operations that'll come out for the afternoon. The kids are running up and down the hill and having fun. You know, like I said, the nature trails are just phenomenal. You know, Great Bear is kind of situated within a bur oak forest, and it's pretty unique to the area. And you get back into some of those trails, you kind of lose track of where you're at. Then you can pop up on a vista and you can overlook the city. So it's very pretty out there. Trails are well maintained. You know, our wedding business has continued to grow. We've made a real strong effort to push that, as well as doing corporate events out there, you know, company picnics, meeting space, things like that. So we, you know, when I first got involved in the area, you know, we left April 1st and came back in September. And that's not the case anymore. This park is phenomenal. We got a great staff, and got a real busy summer coming up.
Awesome. Well, what should we be looking forward to in the future? You know, any expansion, amenities, any activities?
Well, yeah. Anybody who's been to the Bear this winter, you know, has experienced what we've experienced for the last 20 years, and that is we're overcrowded in the chalet. It's extremely busy. The chalet was never intended for this type of volume, and so it's kind of cobbled together a little bit. We know we need to do something with the chalet. We are currently working on a plan with some architects. We would like to be able to get in front of the park board in the next couple months and present a master plan. In addition to that, there's plenty of room for additional ski trails. We've identified an area about 7 acres where we could put another chairlift in, just open up the skiing opportunities. You know, it's very exciting, but the ski business is also very expensive. You know, for instance, just one of our snow guns is $35,000. You know, the Snowcat is $400,000. So the partnership that we've had with the city has helped us grow, and we look forward to that in the future. But we just really like offering this wonderful park to everybody. It's just so neat.
Great. Don, I think it was last year we did a community-wide involvement with the Falls Park Master Plan. A lot of great ideas. When can I zip line across Falls Park? That's what everybody wants to know.
I don't know if that'll make the plan or not. Good question. So what Regan is referring to is the Falls Park Master Plan, which really started out as a design competition amongst various different teams that proposed to win the honor, so to speak, of being able to create a new master plan for Falls Park. So we generate a lot of far out ideas. Some will stick, some will probably not stick, but we're excited about that project. We've basically wrapped up the information gathering phase. We've met with various different stakeholders that are in or around the park. We've also did quite a bit of online polling through our social pinpoint website, not unlike what's happening at the Riverline District currently. And so we got a lot of really good feedback. We heard what people really like and what people don't like. And so our design firm, Confluence, is working on refining those concepts, taking ideas of maybe some of those non-winning firms that we really like, but they didn't ultimately win the competition. And so we're using all that information to formulate a plan. We'll go through probably 2 or 3 different iterations of that plan, and then ultimately have an open house to be able to unveil, the preliminary concepts, get some additional feedback, and then hopefully by the middle of the summer, we're hoping to be able to wrap up that plan and be able to set the course for the future of Falls Park.
It's exciting. The park department just doesn't make all this happen. There's a lot of great partners, nonprofits that run some of these facilities, the sports leagues, the special event organizers, things like that. Can either of you discuss kind of what those partnerships are, those management agreements, that we're really starting to get into more sponsorship type opportunities and gifting? Where are we at on that? I know there's been a push for those things.
Yeah, I'll start out and then turn it over to Dan. You're right. I mean, our park system wouldn't be what it is without all the different partnerships. Great Bear being one. You think of the zoo, you think of Levitt, you think of our partnership with Landscapes Golf Management and our management of our golf courses. All the sports league, Dakota Alliance, CBAS, junior football, all those organizations extend our ability to be able to provide service to the community. And, that's really what makes our park system special, because if we had to do that by ourselves and staff all that, because we got to think about all the volunteer labor that goes into those different sports associations. Obviously, we just couldn't do all that ourselves. So they're certainly important to us. I think we have over 100 partnerships out there now, everything from disc golf to single track to pickleball, and the list just goes on and on. And then the other thing I'd just share is that we've stood up this new Parks and Recreation Foundation. We have Jennifer Kirby that's leading that, along with various different individuals in the community to help advance projects, to try to find private partners to match them up with projects that we'd like to see get done. But maybe we couldn't do it all on our own, but maybe collectively together we can do that, much like we did with Levitt, like we do with the zoo, like we do with the Great Bear, those public-private partnerships, and we really try to advance those as much as possible. And that'll continue to be the model for the foreseeable future, because the city's growing. There's a lot of pressure to be able to accommodate the need going forward, because new neighborhoods also want parks, right? And so if we can continue to partner and work together, I'm confident we'll be able to get there.
Anything to add to that, Dan?
Great Bear, when we first formed this partnership with the city, one of our goals was to ensure that skiing and snowboarding was affordable to the city of Sioux Falls and its residents. Anyone who has been in the ski industry, this year, lift ticket to Vail, if you walked up to the ticket office, is $225. I can remember when Big Sky was $48 and I was just aghast. I couldn't believe it. But we have been able to maintain what we feel is affordable rates by partnerships within the community. Schulte Subaru stepped up when we put in our new chairlift 2 years ago. Sanford Health has supported us for a long time. Other smaller partnerships, we do everything we can, like I said, to keep the rates down. A typical Midwestern ski area, you're going to see lift rates, in the neighborhood of $50. This year we were $35. And so by doing that, we also have some endowment money that we work with through the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation to help bring underprivileged kids to the area, even if it's just to go tubing. It's just expose them to winter sports. So, working with the Parks Department, working with the city, it's just been wonderful. And what it takes to maintain that area. Parks dedicates 5 people over the course of the winter. We hire 200. If you were to peel back the curtain and look at the operation, It's very coordinated. It's complicated. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Well, thanks, guys. That's the questions I have, but I'd open it up to the Rotary members. Does anybody have any questions for our guests today? There's one right there, Tom.
Tom Bosch, Don, question for you. Regan mentioned about the certification of our parks, like less than 1%. Can you talk a little bit about that and what all goes involved, or what's all involved in that?
Yeah, I can. In 2010, we became accredited for the first time, and we really talked about that with our management team on whether we wanted to take on that role and responsibility of getting accredited. Initially, when you get accredited, it's a ton of work. And so there's about 154 standards at that time that you had to meet 85% of those standards. And so it really is just about the various 10 different areas of focus, whether it be human resource, research and development, communication plans, marketing, all those things that are important to running a good Parks and Rec system, and really are held up as best practices. And so if you're able to meet those accreditation standards, then you ultimately be able to become accredited. I think a lot of times people don't do it because of the amount of work that's involved. But another reason why I don't think they do it is that they're not as established as what we are here in Sioux Falls with having a park board for over 100 years. We have a lot of policies and systems in place that really supported and aligned with the accreditation requirements. So it's probably a little easier for us to achieve that accreditation. But as Regan mentioned, it is 1% of all agencies in the United States that are accredited. We're proud to be part of it. And for me, there's a tendency to be complacent in city government. And what that does is it holds us accountable to try to making sure that we're providing the best product out there we can for the community. And it's really kind of a seal of approval, if you will, that says we're following best practices in the industry. And so we've been re-accredited twice now. And then, believe it or not, in 2025, we'll be up again for our fourth re-accreditation. So it's a thing of honor for our staff to know that they're doing things the right way and making sure we're providing the services that best practices say we should do them like. So hope that helps.
Don, question over here. How about for kayakers and paddlers down the Big Sioux? Any updates in mind for that?
Well, the Lowhead Dam will be helpful in that regard. I know there's a kayak and canoe course being suggested as part of one of the recommendations of the Falls Park Master Plan. I don't know whether that'll make the list or not in the final recommendations going forward. But we are expanding the canoe launch area, what we call Old Farm Field or the Old Yankton Trail Bridge that goes across the river. It's often used not only as a canoe launch location, but also as a trailhead for people getting onto the bike trail. And so we're actually going to be expanding and doubling the size of that parking lot because it often is overcrowded. Legacy Park, for example, is another Skunk Creek connection to the Big Sioux River. That too will get doubled in size because of the amount of use that we're seeing. And as Dan mentioned, people have discovered the outdoors since COVID. And the amount of trail use and park use that we've seen since COVID is just through the roof. And but so there'd be parking enhancement and expansion plans. And then ultimately, we also have a new canoe and kayak launch that'll be done as part of the Highway 42 expansion over at the Arboretum. And so they're going to replace that with a new launch location at that site. And then we'll see what happens with the Falls Park Master Plan and whether or not there's a kayak or whitewater course of some type that gets proposed for that area.
Rock Nelson, South Dakota Trade. I wanted to commend you and the city's forefathers and administrative mayors in regards to what you've done with Falls Park. When I was about 12 years old, my friends and I would ride our bikes down there on Saturdays, and the reeds were so tall. They were like 7 or 8 feet tall, and it was pretty much like a garbage dump. And we would take our wrist pocket slingshots and shoot rats because they were so rampant. They were even running out in the daytime. So my question to you are there any plans in regards to the quarry that is fenced in just off 3rd and Weber?
Yeah, the part of the Falls Park Master Plan incorporated that property as well. A lot of people don't even know there's a quarry back there because it's got a fence around it, and we certainly plan to really embrace that piece of property, try to identify ways that we can capitalize on that and making an expansion of Falls Park, because it's a great asset. It's something that I know other council members over the years have asked us about exploring ways to potentially use that. You know, there could be zip lining in that location.
All right.
Regan. You never know. Never know. But yeah, I think that'll certainly be an amenity that we're going to want to plan around. We've got a bunch of different concepts that came out of the Falls Park Master Plan competition, and I know that'll be one of the recommendations to repurpose that so that the general public is able to enjoy that.
I think we've got time for one more question.
Don, Tom Dempster, is there any age limitation to becoming a lifeguard?
No, I don't think so. Just got to be 15, Tom.
All right, well, all right, one more question. All right, Mike.
Don, could you share any insights you have on what the future or the status of the Canary Park project would be?
Are you talking about the Riverline District?
Yeah, that would be part of it.
Yeah, I think the jury's still out on it. I think we're still in the process of taking feedback from the community on what they'd like to see happen there. We're involved with it because Nelson Park is adjacent to it, and excited about what the mayor and the mayor's office has done there with regard to try to reactivate that space and really do a lot of what we're talking about, not only with Falls Park, but Falls Park West and the Steel District, and just really revitalize an area that's probably not developed in a way that long-term we'd like to see it. And so I think it'll be a combination of both mixed use and recreational activity of some type, but no definite plans that I know of that are coming out of that at this time.
All right, well, let's thank our guests for coming today.
Well, this is a treat, and it certainly has me excited about the spring and summer, and really what a source of pride for Sioux Falls and the leadership that you have all shown to create something that hopefully none of us in this room take for granted, but truly appreciate the intentionality and the vision that creates something so special for all of us. So we're glad to have all of you here today. Thank you again. Next week, March 27th, we are going to have Airport Master Planning and Aviation Insights, a continued discussion. So for those of you who were here a few weeks back, we are bringing Dan back on stage to continue that conversation. So glad to see all of you. Hope to see you next week. Rotary is adjourned.